Touchdown BC is sponsored by CFC. CanadaFootballChat.com is a national amateur football website and a source for high school and recruiting news in Canada. CFC's mission is to promote players, coaches, administrators, teams, and leagues from coast to coast. 40-plus local reporters write CFC's content covering Canadian, NCAA, and CIS recruiting, and high school players and teams across the continent. Touchdown BC is also sponsored by Chris Peckett. Veteran trial lawyer and football coach is now restricting his law practice to motor vehicle personal injury claims. Call his office at 604-519-6060 for a free consultation.
Welcome to the season finale of Touchdown BC. Adam, we had a big weekend this weekend.
Yeah, it started off on Saturday. BC Place played host to all the high school provincial championship games. And then on Sunday, we had some games over at McLeod Stadium, the provincials for the community ball. And we actually, on the Saturday, we did the game casts on Sports Canada TV for it felt like the whole day.
Yeah, it was a crazy day. I mean, no UBC Thunderbirds, but considering all the action that happened this past weekend, it was pretty good.
But for more on BC High School, Ty, take it away.
The final Super Saturday of the season did not disappoint. With all the games, we had some crazy storylines too. In the Grade 8 finals, it would be the one-on-one battles between some of the elite athletes that decided that game. In the JV AA finals, we had two very balanced teams face off against each other. And in the Junior Varsity AAA finals, it was an all-out, high-scoring, high-intensity game. In the Varsity AA final, the game plan for both teams changed when the best player in BC high school football got injured. And in the Varsity AAA finals, the two heavyweights faced off against each other for the second time this season, and they looked like completely different teams the second time around. Now let's get into the action.
BC Mount Doug Varsity AAA finals on the line, and from the opening, the Rams punted to VC, but Reganoy can't hold onto it, and the Rams recover on the 30. And Mount Doug would make VC pay. Gideon Kremler throws a dart right into the hands of Griffin Pozniak. Rams ahead 8-0. BC looks to get back into the ballgame in the first Q, and they do just that. Jasper Scheidel rumbles in 21 yards for the score. Kieran Mitha missed the extra point, but makes up for it with this off-hash field goal. VC up 9-8. The Mount Doug come right back. Declan Michelin powers up the gut to put the Rams back ahead 14-9 now. Rams look to punt later in the quarter, but it's big Aiden Fay going through his block and blocking the punt before picking the ball up himself down to the 1-yard line for the Irish. Jacob Samuels puts the Irish up 17-14. And with half a minute left in the first half, Gideon Kremler, the grade 9 stud, finds a wide open Oliver McKenzie. Rams back up 21-17 now. Third Q now, Kremler finds Javon McNally. Hardesty juggles the ball but secures the TD for the Rams. Rams starting to run away with it, but Aiden Fay prevents it from getting any worse with his second huge block of the night. Fourth quarter, BC desperate to get back in it. This doesn't help. Jacob Samuels' pass is intercepted by one of the three Kremler brothers. Justice Kremler takes the offering inside the 10-yard line. And just like that, Declan Michelin runs in for his second TD of the day for the Rams. After sacking Samuels in the last play of the day, the Rams celebrate their win over the Vancouver College Fighting Irish 34-17 to secure their fourth Subway Bowl championship in the last 5 years. Carson Graham, Abbotsford, and right out of the gates, John Madigan tosses it up for the best player in high school football. Chase Claypool scores in double coverage. But Carson gets the ball right back, and it's Tyler Nylander under the helm, and Nylander takes it himself to tie this ball game up. Abbotsford get the ball back and move downfield looking for Chase Claypool once again, but he falls awkwardly and gets injured. Bad news for the Panthers. So Abbotsford aborts the air game and hand it off to Samuel Uko, and the little grade 10 running back is too quick and nimble, crashing into his own teammate and in for the score. Next quarter, Carson Graham down at TD, so they go back to their versatile QB. And Tyler Nylander, the off-season rugby star, gets those legs pumping and scoots right by the Panthers defenders for a second of the day. But Abbotsford goes right back to work by hitting Mason Thompson on a screen pass, and Thompson picks up a big block on the outside, and Abbotsford is back ahead. So it's Carson's turn in this seesaw affair, and it's their big tailback Flynn Hayes, and he's done this before, getting Carson back in this ball game. Third Q now, Carson working that read option to perfection with the speedy quarterback Tyler Nylander once again using his legs to burn Abbotsford, and this guy is just too fast. But on the ensuing kickoff, it's Samuel Uko once again, and the shifty little grade 10 is back at it, showing off his moves and speed. He takes it down the right sidelines, and before Carson can realize they're ahead, they trail once again. So the Eagles go back at it, and what do? They use Nylander once again, scoring his 4th touchdown of the day, putting Carson back in front. And almost like it was deja vu, it's Nylander once again doing the heavy lifting himself. Nylander breaks a couple tackles, and he scurries down the sideline, scoring a beauty 56-yard touchdown, his 5th TD on the day already. And I swear this is no video game with cheat codes. Nylander does what he does best and takes off for his 6th score of the day. 4th Q now, and the injured Claypool makes a rare appearance this time, taking the reverse, but he throws it this time to Mason Thompson in a last-ditch effort to get the Panthers back in it. But Carson looks to put this game on ice, and they do just that. Nylander's 7th touchdown as Carson Graham beats Abbotsford 53-34 to win the championship. JV AAA championship between Mount Doug and New West. And from the onset, it's the workhorse Sammy Sidhu taking off down the right sidelines. That wing T offense looking sharp early on and really all day long in this one. Both teams would exchange scores, with Gideon Kremler, the grade 9 stud, rolling out and finding Connor Clark in for the score. He would go in untouched to tie this one up. But the New Westminster Hawks proved to be too potent on the day as they beat Mount Doug 48-29 to secure their first ever championship. Congratulations to New West. Windsor vs. Mission in the JVAA Championships, and Windsor comes out flying with grade 9 Keelan White stretching into the end zone for Windsor. But Mission comes right back with Josh Guittard running a little slant pattern. Mission ahead 7-6 before the half. 3rd Q and Ryan Baker, the big Windsor QB, isn't afraid to get mucky, putting the Dukes back ahead. Later on in the 4th, Windsor already up a score before Baker hooks up with Ben McMichael, and after making a nifty little sidestep at the 20-yard line, McMichael would turn on the Jets and beat out Jaden Watcher in the foot race, and Cole Dorward near the end for the 95-yarder to all but secure the win for Windsor. Mission added one more, but Windsor is the AA champions, winning 27-20 over Mission. Grade 8 championships now, undefeated Siakam already having beaten Vancouver College twice this year, and right out of the get-go, on their first offensive play of the day, it's Deshaun Johnson going all the way home for the Irish to put them ahead 6-0. 2nd Q, and this would be an indicator of just how this game would go. Siakam looking to pass, but it's Deshaun Johnson once again, this time on defense, using that speed to guarantee the pick 6 and all but the game for Vancouver College. After some more scores in the second half, the Vancouver College grade 8s go crazy on the field, securing the championship 30-13 over Siakam.
Welcome to the BC High School Report. No Dino this week, so I'm going to talk with Adam a little bit. We were actually covering all the games at on the weekend on Sports Canada TV. So, Adam, let's jump right into it. Mount Doug, Vancouver College AAA game. What stood out to you?
Yeah, Mount Doug proving that they are a dynasty in high school football, winning 4 championships in the last 5 years. I think, coming into this game, Vancouver College was the favorite. They beat them 20-0, but it just showed Coach Townsend had those Mount Doug Rams ready to go. And then, too, Gavin Cobb, the AAA Player of the Year, came to play and won MVP in that one.
He absolutely did, and one of the things that really stood out for me was Kremler. Gideon Kremler, the grade 9 quarterback, was everywhere. He was scrambling, he was getting first downs, he was looking in the air, and as you said, Gavin Cobb was everywhere too. And it was weird to see a completely different Vancouver College team and a completely different Mount Doug team. When they first played and Vancouver College won earlier this year, 20-0, this was a completely different team on both sides.
Yeah, I think it came down to that defensive line, Vancouver College. They got pushed around. Michelin, Mount Doug's running back, was able to run the ball. Mount Doug was able to run the ball very well, chew the clock down, and keep the ball out of Vancouver College's hands. And then offensively, VC just didn't have it that day. And Mount Doug gets the W, but credit to Mount Doug. They played an all-around game, and to be able to come back after losing to Vancouver College and then going through the playoffs, they're going to be the team to beat even next year. And then, as you mentioned, Gideon Kremler, a grade 9 quarterback, grade 9. So he still has one more year of JV, and he's playing in the varsity. Imagine what we're going to see in 3 or 4 years when this guy's in grade 12.
That's so true. Now let's take a look at the AA matchup. We had Abbotsford taking on Carson Graham.
Yeah, going in this game, it looked like Abbotsford were the favorites with Chase Claypool. The guy's going to Notre Dame University as a receiver. He's a big guy. He makes the amazing catches. He goes down in the first quarter with his team up. The first couple drives, it looked like the Abbey Panthers kind of rallied around that. They scored 2 touchdowns without him, and maybe Carson didn't really know who to cover, when to cover, because they were so used to the game plan they had with Chase Claypool. And with Claypool injured, Carson Graham turned it around and started playing some very well defense. Abbotsford wasn't able to move that ball. And then look at the quarterback, Carson Graham, Nylander. You didn't think he was going to run the ball. He ran the ball for 7 touchdowns and was just all over that team.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It was shocking, and it was kind of sad, actually, to see such a good, talented GOAT. That's the way he's going to go in his last high school game, Chase Claypool. And you know what? I think Carson Graham did do a pretty good job, as best of a job as they could, trying to contain him when they were playing against him. They had Michael Kulik going one-on-one with him, and then Nylander drifting over onto that side. And as soon as he went down, you could just see the look of exasperation on all the players on Abbotsford, and even in the stands. And this was kind of hard to see in the booth. Nylander got his legs going, which was definitely the game changer. At first, Flynn Hayes, that's who Jay Fujimura and the rest of Abbotsford was planning on containing the whole time, because they saw a really good running back in him. He didn't really get much going, and then once Nylander's legs started going, they started spreading the field out a lot more, and we started seeing a lot more tosses and plays going to the outside, and Flynn Hayes used that big body and that speed to go down the field, and so that was very impressive to see for them.
Yeah, and even with Chase Claypool being injured, credit to Carson Graham, even when Chase Claypool came back, the guy looked like he was injured, couldn't play. He still made 2 huge catches, and then one time on a fake reverse, threw for a touchdown as well. But all credit has to go, though, to Coach Brady and his Carson Graham Eagles. He game planned very well against that team, and they came out with a W and they're provincial champs because of it.
AAA JV finals, we saw Kremler playing once again earlier in the day in this one, going up against a tough New West team.
Yeah, the New West team, we've seen that offense, the wing T offense, and with their killer running back, Sidhu, number 10, he was everywhere. I think he had 5 touchdowns for over 200 yards, and that wing T offense was just too hard to stop. And they also had the size. Talking to Coach Gord Randall, their offensive line coach, they got a big O-line, and that O-line was very well coached, and they opened up a lot of holes in that wing T offense for New West to win. And unfortunately for Kremler, he had to finish 1-1 on that day for provincial championships.
Hey, if you win the varsity, that seems like it's almost slightly bigger, but you know what? Total props to New Westminster for winning their first championship. And the wing T offense was just too much. And we talked to Karn Dodd, the junior varsity coach for the Mount Douglas Rams, and he said, you know what, we completely different game plan. We have to be aware of what's going on, because there's 3-4 handoffs in every single play. And then by the time you find out who's got the ball, they're already in the end zone. And that's exactly what happened here. We saw New West just driving, scoring every single drive, and there's just nothing Mount Douglas could do.
Yeah, for about the first, 3 quarters of the game, it was you have to score on every drive. And then, late in the third, New West starts making some stops, and they get the ball back, they score, Mount Doug can't capitalize, and all of a sudden the game just got away from Mount Doug. And congrats to New West. They were the better team that day, and they deserved their first provincial championship out of any level in football.
And congratulations to Sean Myers and the Windsor Dukes, who ended up winning their first championship since 2008 in the JV finals over Mission. And that was a very well-balanced game. Both teams run similar offenses. That was a good game to watch, too.
Yeah, it was. It was pretty close. What we talked was Mission had the size in that one. They're a bigger team, and when we talked to Coach Myers, he wanted it to be a speed game, and that's what they did. And on this day, sometimes it doesn't always work out. On this day, speed beat size.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I mean, Mission had some of those big bodies, as you said, Graydon Watron, Devon Bogle, and they started showing up at little parts in the second half, but yeah, as you said, speed kills.
And a big shout out to Vancouver College, the grade 8 team, who won their 10th provincial title at the grade 8 level. Congrats to them, and it was a hard-fought game against Seaquam.
Yeah, Navin Chan, the head coach of Seaquam, said this is going to be a tough matchup because he was the coach in the community football and that team last year in Pee Wee ended up winning the championships, and 3 players of Vancouver College, of course, the 2 brothers, the Keyshawn and Deshaun Johnson, were all over the field. Deshaun more so, and yeah, it was just big athletes going against each other in that one.
Yeah, you're correct.
Well, that's your BC High School report with Adam Kordick.
Here is a look at the AAA award winners. Gavin Cobb from Mount Douglas is your Player of the Year. Kelowna's Parker Simpson is your Offensive MVP, and BC's Chris Ellis gets the Defensive MVP award. Now here are your AAA All-Stars on offense. Now the All-Stars on defense. Here is a look at the AA award winners. Chase Claypool from Abbey is your Player of the Year. Holy Cross QB Patrick Shumay is your Offensive MVP, and John Barsby's Corey Fletcher gets the Defensive MVP award. Now here are your AA All-Stars on offense. Now the All-Stars on defense. The football season in BC never ends. It's time for Team BC football. This Saturday will be the final cut-down practice for Grade 8, U16, and U18. Team BC will be heading to Las Vegas on January 20th to compete in the High Roller Tournament and Showcase. These teams will have some of the best players in the province, along with some of the best coaches. Good luck to all. When we come back, the 2015 BC Community Championships are on the line.
The CFL and our partners at Football Canada want to make sure we keep growing, promoting, and investing in a safe game. Hit! Football Canada now requires all amateur coaches to be safe contact trained by 2017. By creating a standard of safety for all in our football community, we're making an already great game even better. Make sure your youth coach is safe contact trained, because making a safe game means making a better game.
The BCCFA Provincial Championships were this past Sunday with 5 games being played, starting with the Pee Wee Championship and ending with the Super Bowl of the day, the 12-man midget final. Mount Douglas was not the only island team competing for a title. The Victoria Spartans community program made it to the midget final as well as the bantam final. Very impressive. Also in the junior bantam and Pee Wee, we had overall titles on the line with the VCFL champs taking on the VMFL champs, competing to become the provincial champions.
12-man midget provincial championship, Victoria Spartans take it on the Langley Stampeders for the title. Couple turnovers early. Langley QB Devontae Wilson drops back to pass, eludes some pressure, and looks downfield, but is picked off by Hayden Crowthers. Spartans get the ball, and it's Victoria QB Brandon Holland throwing it up, but it is picked off by Simon Odong. Odong returns it deep into Victoria territory. Later, the Stamps would get on the board. Wilson rolls out, has some room, and he takes off and gets to the pylon for 6. Just before half, Langley will score again on this great 17-yard TD run by Devin DaCosta. Stampeders up at half. Second half, the refs are ready to go. Break. The Spartans drive the field, but Holland is picked off again by Odong. At the goal line, and Odong is gone, taken off down the sideline, getting some huge blocks. One guy to beat, looks like he's going to be tackled, but as he goes down, he laterals it to Nathan Murray. He goes on to score. What a play. Langley goes on to win this one and the title. The Langley Stampeders are your midget provincial champs, beating the Victoria Spartans 19-1. The South Delta Rams versus the Victoria Spartans for the 12-man Bantam Championship. Rams score first. Michael Calvert fields the kickoff return at the 40. He takes off, breaking tackles down the sideline, and the Rams star player goes 65 yards for the score. Later, more from Calvert, this time getting the ball on a punt. He dips, dodges, and this kid is too good, taking this one 55 yards for the punt return major. Next cue, Calvert hands the ball off to Billy Matwachina. Matwachina trying to score, and he will on this 5-yard rushing major. South Delta just too strong in this one. Ethan Troniak gets the pick and goes all the way to the house for the pick 6. Same cue, it's Calvert again, this time throwing to an open Matwachina for the 3-yard passing major. Fourth cue, South Delta's defense does it again. This time it's Ryan Jensen picking it off. He takes it all the way to the house. Later, Calvert does it again, this time finding Ethan Prasad for the major. That does it. The South Delta Rams cap off an undefeated season with the provincial title, beating the Victoria Spartans 44-0. Nine-man bantam title game, Salmon Arm vs. Westside Warriors. Tyler Chartier takes the rock and scores from 10 yards out. Chargers up early. Westside then scores on a QB keeper from Alex Spence. But later, Chartier again running it in from 2 yards out. Salmon Arm start to pull away with this TD pass. Janan Murado finds Tristan Canoris for the major. Then Chartier ices the game on this 25-yard rushing major. He runs it in for the third time. Salmon Arm Chargers are your 9-man bantam champions for the 2015 season, beating the Westside Warriors 47-13. Junior bantam championship game, Cloverdale vs. Mission. The Cougars score first on a great pass by Terrell Jones. This game was really close. Mission Niners running back Curtis Flynn takes the rock, uses his speed, and he is off. He is going, but is taken down at the 2. Later, Ethan Anderson punches it in with help from the whole team. Mission wins the title by a 2-point conversion. The Mission Niners are your junior bantam champs, beating Cloverdale 8-6. Coquitlam vs. Meadow Ridge for the Pee Wee title. Aiden Domino gets the snap and takes off, and he will score, putting his team up early. Later, more from Domino, this time taking it in for the 2-yard major. The Wildcats put this game away on a great run by Pedro Matthew Cabanas. He will go 50 yards all the way to the end zone. The Coquitlam Wildcats are your Pee Wee provincial champs, beating Meadow Ridge Blue 20-0.
Welcome to the UBC Report off-season edition. Joining me here is a man who's usually on the other side of the camera, former TDBC host, producer of TDBC and Crown Countdown U, Andrew Wadden. And let's jump into it. Who are some of the big names that UBC is targeting in recruiting?
Well, as you know, with recruiting, it doesn't really stop for a coach like Blake Nill. You're basically starting as soon as they won the Vanier Cup. I mean, he was probably on the phone looking for someone right afterwards. One of the big names that we're hearing about is a defensive lineman that is playing down in Wyoming. He redshirted down in Wyoming. His name's Jonathan Combo. Hearing close to 8 NCAA schools could be looking to get his services, but UBC is apparently in the mix as well. If they could land this guy, what a scoop that would be for Blake Nill and the T-Birds, who obviously are national champions and would like to stay that way. And getting a player like that onto the defensive line where they need some help would be a huge scoop for Blake Nill.
And of course, when we talk about university sports, we're always got our eyes out on who's coming back, who's going to be done their tenure. One of the big names that stands out is banger Brandon Deschamps is going to be gone. So who's going to be running the ball?
Yeah, I mean, that's a fantastic question, and they have a lot of options. I mean, obviously, Brandon Deschamps being Brandon Deschamps, I mean, he's a tough guy to replace, right? A couple of options that they could have is one down south right now, another recruit that possibly could be coming north, another BC boy by the name of Malik Irons, running back who played in Ohio last year. Some saying that he might come back up north. That would be very interesting if they could get him. But they've also got guys in the mix like AJ Blackwell, who played running back when he was in high school. He played cornerback for the Birds last year. Even Malcolm Lee, who played wide receiver, but he was a running back when he was in high school as well. He kind of got lost in the depth in terms of the wide receivers. So they do have a few options. Mind you, Malcolm Lee played cornerback one game this season, and that was in the Vanier Cup. So, maybe they'll keep him there. But again, if they could get someone like Malik Irons, that would be another huge scoop for the T-Birds.
No kidding. So let's change gears a little bit here. Let's talk about the upcoming CFL draft. What UBC T-Birds do you think will be on the radar?
Yeah, I mean, with the draft, I mean, it's always tough to say, really. I mean, Taylor Loeffler, I don't think you've seen him, at least in the most recent Central Scouting update. I don't think they had him in the top, the first round, that is. I could see Taylor Loeffler going in the first round. I mean, he's as good as done, put it that way. Another guy would be Quinn Van Gilswyk, another guy that is good as gone. I mean, I would not be surprised if Quinn Van Gilswyk finds himself taking a similar path to John Ryan and finding himself at one day in the NFL. He's really that good. And then another guy would be Terrell Davis. Terrell Davis came into the T-Birds as a running back. They didn't really know what to do with him after that first year. He played a lot of special teams with the Birds. And then, of course, last year got converted to a linebacker. I could see him being in the CFL playing on special teams, no problem. I mean, he's a hard hitter. I think he found himself in terms of his game on the defensive side of the ball, even though he was a fantastic offensive player, as we know, in high school. And then also when he went down into Arizona State, of course, just didn't work out for him there.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting to talk about Quinn Van Gilswyk. I don't remember the last time a punter got this much cred, but he is good. Anyways, on another note, what's in store for KCU in the offseason?
Well, Crown Countdown U will be back in the offseason. As many of you know that watch Touchdown BC, our mother show would be Crown Countdown U. That is the CIS football show, and that's a national show. Crown will be back in January in a little bit of different mode. We're going to be teaming up with the Canada West to bring you not only football, but also some basketball and some hockey. But Crown Countdown U will be on the back end of that show. So stay tuned to Shaw Television, of course, and check out our Facebook page. That's Crown Countdown U. And also at our Twitter page at Crown Countdown U.
Well, looking forward to it. Thank you, Andrew. That's your UBC off-season report with Andrew Wadden. Well, that's a wrap of Season 3 of Touchdown BC. Adam, crazy season we had this year.
Yeah, and now it's sad to say, but I had the first high school segment back in September. I said there was two types of seasons. Football season, which we just had, and waiting for football season. I guess that's what we're going to have now. Which is too bad.
Unfortunately, the waiting for football season will be actually longer than the football season itself.
True.
But yeah, we had this is a crazy year. We saw some crazy games in community. The championships were so much fun. Same thing in BC high school football, and of course UBC winning the Vanier Cup.
UBC Vanier Cup champs from not doing too well last year. It was a pretty quick turnaround.
Yeah, so you guys are going to want us to be the host of the show for as long as possible because so far it's looking good.
Vanier will keep on winning.
Well, thanks a lot. We wanted to say thank you to everybody in the community, BC High School football, everybody a part of UBC as well. It's been a fun season.
And our sponsors as well, Chris Peckett and CanadaFootballChat.com. Thank you very much.
So for more updates in the offseason, follow us on our Facebook page, and it's been a fun season. Thanks a lot.
Touchdown BC is sponsored by CFC. CanadaFootballChat.com is a national amateur football website and a source for high school and recruiting news in Canada. CFC's mission is to promote players, coaches, administrators, teams, and leagues from coast to coast. 40-plus local reporters write CFC's content covering Canadian, NCAA, and CIS recruiting, and high school players and teams across the continent. Touchdown BC is also sponsored by Chris Peckett. Veteran trial lawyer and football coach is now restricting his law practice to motor vehicle personal injury claims. Call his office at 604-519-6060 for a free consultation.